And welcome back to Wrestling Forever. Forever! It's what's left of Billy Kirkwood looking like he's just back from court. Maybe I am. I'm here.
As I said earlier before we came onto the stream, it's like it feels like I'm underdressed and this should be like some sort of Hall of Fame ceremony. Like, are we inducting the first ever person to the Wrestling Forever Hall of Fame tonight? And I just wasn't given the memo.
What an idea. Just imagine the buffet. Oh my God, the buffet is going to be amazing.
Fantastic. It would be fantastic.
It's Billy Kirkwood here with my broadcast colleague. He is the host of the #1 Celtic podcast on YouTube. The #1 throughout the ones.
That's
throughout
me.
the ones. It's Ryan Fitzsimons. Busy week in wrestling, Ryan. Very busy week in wrestling.
Incredibly busy, isn't it? It feels like that. Even though there hasn't been any huge events, no PLEs or anything like that, it feels like it's just been a never-ending spiral of things going on, from behind-the-scenes controversies to the actual wrestling itself. It's been a massive week in wrestling.
So we got to talk about these. Let's get into the eyes and nose as quick as we can. Right.
Yes.
I tell you what, my friend, I'm going to let you serve us with a little bit of positivity. Give us one of your eyes, mate.
I have to start with my eye. That's good. Mine's is a nice and short and simple eye. I didn't even want to rip it today, and I just wanted to keep it straight to the point. Samoa Joe is back, Billy. Samoa Joe is back. And that is just one massive eye for me. I feel like for AEW, that is huge. And a point where they're trying to go through their 75th version of AEW. You know, we keep hearing about these new eras that Tony Khan is trying to start. Well, I mean, if we're legitimately going to give them a chance to start a new era here in 2025, they need the stars. They need these big guys. Samoa Joe has always been a star. He's been a star from, the mid-2000s. Doesn't matter if he's not been in the big leagues for the last 20 years. He was there for a wee while. What matters is he's here on our screens again. And I just want to enjoy him while he's still wrestling, man, because it's not as if he's going to have a long time left in the ring. He is getting to those older years of his career.
Yeah.
Just seeing him healthy, seeing him happy, seeing him back in a ring last night. I am buzzing to see him back, Billy.
Joe's one of those things. He's one of those guys that's kept his aura. Do you know what I mean? As he's got a little older and he's went through other companies, and people forget the success he's had. TNA World Champion, NXT Champion, World Heavyweight Champion in AEW. He should have got the shot in WWE. See if that had been now with the two titles.
He was the guy that should have beat Brock Lesnar. I still remember it. Great Balls of Fire, 2018, 2019.
Fucking awful name for a pay-per-view.
It was a terrible name for a pay-per-view, don't get me wrong. But he could have been the guy to legitimately, believably dethrone Brock Lesnar. They didn't pull the trigger. Vince McMahon had his problems. This is the thing about Joe, Billy, as you were touching on. It doesn't matter where he goes. He's a star. He's a top guy. He's got that aura. And he done it in Ring of Honor. He done it in TNA. He done it in WWE, and now he's doing it in AEW. For all that it's worth, I think that his AEW title reign could have and should have been a bit longer, to be quite honest. Nice, yeah. But I honestly, Billy, I woke up this morning. I didn't watch Dynamite live. I woke up this morning and looked at what happened on Dynamite.
Apparently nobody does.
and when I seen that Samoa Joe is back, I was like, do you know what? That might entice me to watch it live next week.
Well, I'm delighted to see Joe back. Like I say, he's like a Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's like a Rock. He's like a Brock Lesnar. He's kept his aura throughout his entire career. A little older now, but when Joe turns up, somebody is getting fucked up. Yeah. And I went down a little before we came on air. I went down a little wormhole and I ended up watching Punk versus Joe. And it's in the middle of a 6-man tag, and it's the first time they've faced each other in 10 years. And I'm looking at the crowd at AEW, and I'm looking at the reactions and went, wow, that seems like...
That was like lightning in a bottle, that moment. And it was like, we'd obviously been waiting about 20 years for it to happen. It wasn't a kick in the arse off 20 years since the last time they properly faced off in the wrestling ring. And that moment, and I seeing the crowd at AEW, I'm thinking, man... And obviously Punk not being there plays a huge factor in it, but Joe is one of those guys that can help bring in a crowd and help get those sort of reactions, and I'm hoping that they can capture moments like that again, because he's just, Punk obviously plays a huge part of that, and he's not there anymore. We know the history, we don't need to revisit it, but Joe is still himself, such a talent, such a character. I mean, I just can't wait to see what the programme holds for him. I like the idea of him being involved with Christian Cage for a wee bit, because he's one of my favourites of all time.
Yep.
Aye, just buzzing, Billy, buzzing.
Great. Do you know, it went back to the Joe versus Punk thing. It's great use of the older stars, the guys with name value.
Yes.
If they could bring that back in AEW, it's just ex-WWE guys and all that type of thing. No, you need to use them in a way that they've not been there before. And if they can do that with Joe, I love the idea of Joe being there. I hope that they can maybe lean on him creatively a little bit as well, because
they need that.
AEW's creative is struggling, I'm afraid, right now, I think. And I don't want it to be, Ryan. I'm not an AEW hater. I'm an AEW backer. Come on, guys.
Just not to prolong this any further, I want to get to your eyes and Oz, of course, Billy, but I've seen a lot of criticism recently around Jon Moxley, and a lot of people turning on him, and I don't think it's necessarily been because of Jon Moxley. I think it's the way that he's been presented recently and the stories that he's been placed into. The creative is struggling a bit, so use guys like Joe to your advantage. You get his opinions, get his thoughts, and lean on guys like that, because it can help. Yeah. It can ultimately turn a direction for them.
They need to do that, man. I'm not a Jon Moxley hater. I hate all that thing he does with his shoulders. I think that looks fucking stupid. I'll say that much. But people are turning off the Death Riders, and I'm not into it. But delighted to see Joe's back. I'm going to start off with an eye as well.
And it's so positive this morning.
Got to be Penta.
Hey, he's here. He's here.
Goosebumps. I loved Michael Cole's The Worst Kept Secret in Wrestling. Yeah, because you guys were fucking plugging it on your feed, selling these t-shirts the day before on WWE.com. What the fuck?
That was so funny. The only thing that I can say to that is...
Do you think that was a mistake? Do you think that was a mistake, or were they just trying to build up excitement?
To be honest, let's be real here. On Raw last week in Netflix, they dropped the vignette with his name. We knew Penta was coming. It was hardly like it was a secret he was going to face Gable. I do think that it still maybe was a mistake, but my assumption is that some of the merch might have been getting sold in that arena on the night. So maybe WWE just thought, right, well, instead of people taking photos of this and sharing it online, we may as well just get ahead of the curve here and announce the merchandise.
I've got to say, delighted for Penta. It was wonderful to see his family at ringside and what have you. So just a lovely, good feel moment. Flowers to Chad Gable. I saw a lot of people saying that online. Do you know what? It took me back to Taz making his debut against Kurt Angle. It was perfect. They put in a hell of a match. Penta looked fantastic, selling stuff, doing things in a different way with quality opponents. It's a great match. It's one of the best debuts that I think I've seen, and they can fuck them up when they go really wrong. They go really wrong. I loved it. I thought it was great. Penta was born as a superstar on that night. I still want to see him turn heel. I want to make this clear. I would love it if they could turn him heel. But I think it's just so cool. And the number of people I know that aren't necessarily big wrestling fans, casually viewing and tuning in and going, "Who's this guy?"
Yep. Well, I had a couple of mates watching Raw Live on Monday and they wouldn't be aggrieved of me saying this on camera, but they aren't huge wrestling fans outside of WWE. They've been lifelong WWE fans. They love WWE, but they've never really gave any other promotions a real chance. So they aren't familiar with Penta. They had no idea what all the hype was about, and I kept telling them, like, listen, you're just going to have to trust it, and you're going to love it, you're going to enjoy it. And I think that a couple of them were really nervous and really anxious about it, in the sense they were like, this is just going to be one of these guys from AEW who just wrestles and doesn't have a character, is just bland. And every one of them, the two or three of them, after that match, turned around and said, that was fantastic, and I cannot wait to see more of Penta. He delivered big time.
You want a Penta t-shirt?
Yep.
Everyone, whether you're a wrestling fan or not, you want a Penta t-shirt? How cool is fucking Penta?
He's so good.
I just come out of that.
Billy, this is... I mean this when I say it. It was the first thing I said when the match finished. This is the luchador they've been looking for about 15 years. This is what they tried to get in Sin Cara. This is what they tried to get in Kalisto. This is what they've tried to get so many times, and have just not been able to find the heir to Rey Mysterio's throne. Now, I hate that constant comparison. Oh, he has to be like Rey Mysterio. Of course he doesn't. Penta's his own guy. Penta is
very
Penta.
Different wrestlers as well.
Very different guys. But in terms of the market that they want to really try and build around luchadors and trying to keep that tradition of a luchador alive in WWE, one that fans genuinely care about, is Penta, isn't it? He's here to be that guy.
I'm excited to see where it goes, man. I'm excited to see where it goes. So that's my positive. Can I have your negative, please, sir? Must have your no.
I had a few, man. It was hard to pick, and I know that you've got one that you're dying to talk about, which I don't know what it is yet. So I'm hoping I'm not going to nick it, but I'm going to stick with my initial, and it's this Saturday night's main event coming up. That's my no. I have to go with a no. Next week, Saturday night's. Your eyes.
Holy shit!
There we go. That's exactly why it's my no. You didn't even remember it was on, did you?
I forgot. I totally forgot.
What are they doing? Have they just gave up on it already? There's 2 matches announced for this card next week, and that's that. And I actually can't think of the other matches that they're going to announce. I feel like they've shot themselves in the foot with this one. I always thought it was a bad idea having one the week before the Royal Rumble, because everything that's getting built just now is built for the Royal Rumble, and it's going to be overshadowed by the Royal Rumble. Yeah. This is a Saturday night's main event that just doesn't feel like anything at all. So, as it stands, they announced it took them until Raw this past Monday to finally announce the first match. It's Gunther versus Jey Uso for the world title. Okay, so we know that's going down on it. I'm fine with that. I think that should be fun. And I think I didn't even know that they announced this. Once again, just shows that the promotion for this show, I think, has been so bad. I had no idea that Braun Breaker and Sheamus has been announced for the Intercontinental Championship. Had no idea. Did you know this? Did you know this? I didn't know this either. So
it's I guess it's the danger running shows, high profile shows so close to each other. And it's the one thing the WWE really need to be aware of, man, because things are hot just now, but they were hot based on the schedule you were doing.
Yep.
Like, if you give people too much,
you don't like fatigue fans.
Yeah, they'll fatigue fans. And if you look at Marvel and stuff like that, and comic book movies, it can happen, and it can happen suddenly. Yeah. So, I personally, when I remember hearing that there was going to be a Saturday night's main event in January, I did remember thinking, oh, all right, well, that seems odd with Netflix coming up, but one will point at the other. Don't know if it has or not.
Because this one has literally been placed in the worst sort of sandwich it could find itself in. On one side, it has the Netflix Raw, which has been built as the biggest Raw of all time, which has been built as one of the biggest wrestling shows of all time. And then the other side of that sandwich, the other piece of bread, is the Royal Rumble. In the middle is that Saturday night's main event, which has just been, proper forgotten about. Yeah. And I don't know. I can't even begin to think what the matches are going to be on this show. So the last one had 5. I'm assuming that they're going to aim for another 5-match card. Maybe a 4-match card, so it's not as rushed. But
Penta. We'll probably see Penta on there.
Maybe Penta. I'm assuming that they'll...
Following that up.
Yeah, I'm assuming that they'll throw... There's got to be a women's match. I don't know if it's going to be for one of the mid-card titles. Maybe they're going to do the rematch between Michin and Chelsea. I don't know. There's a few different possibilities, but there's nothing obvious because we know that everybody's declared for the Rumble and we have title matches at the Rumble and whatnot. So... yeah, Billy, I don't know, man. I really enjoyed the first episode of Saturday Night's Main Event in the sense that I loved the throwback and the novelty of it all. Don't waste that magic by not taking them seriously, by not giving them the build they deserve, because it feels like this one is proper just went under the radar.
All I can think of is if they're going to throw, like, Cody and Kevin versus a tag team as some type of main event, right? Some type of big match on it, because that's what historically they did with Saturday Night's Main Events way back in the day. I don't think of any debuts. I don't know if an event like Saturday Night's Main Event is the place to do a debut.
I think there's an opportunity for them to do something like, I don't know, you'll be familiar with this obviously from ICW. We called a match last year and it was if I think it was if Kenny Williams lost, he would have to enter number 1 in the Royal Rumble. Do something like that. Have something like Drew wrestle a match. If Drew loses, he needs to enter number 1 in the Rumble. I don't know, just give us something with a bit on the line.
I like that. That would be a great way of tying and pointing at the Royal Rumble for them from a business point of view. Fuck, man. Well, I've got to say, it just might not be as must-watch Saturday Night's Main Event. They got huge numbers last time, so there's no two ways about it. SmackDown and Raw are going to really have to be building towards Saturday Night's Main Event, whether Netflix like it or not. That's how it's going to be. Right, time for my no.
Oh, I've been excited for this since you told me this morning that you have a big no.
Big no. And I'm calling you wrestlers out.
Oh. I thought you were going to... I thought you were about to go, I'm calling you out. I was like,
you're my special boy. I would never do that. I'm calling you wrestlers out because here's the thing. Like, there's so many different things you can do to get your character over. There is so many different things you can do to really connect with fans and to antagonize fans. Go watch some movies, read some books, talk to some people, talk to more experienced wrestlers. This isn't it. The number of fucking wrestlers I have counted in recent events, particularly in independent events, are just giving each other the fucking finger in the middle of a sequence in a match. It's lazy, it's shite, and you look like a dumbass. Stop it.
This ties in perfectly to a thought that I've had recently, and it's the overuse of the word fuck. I feel like there's certain.
I swear a lot.
I swear a lot. I swear a lot.
This feels like an attack.
No. Listen, it would be so hypocritical of me to say that because I use fuck as if it's a comma, right? I use it constantly, but I watch clips from independent shows and stuff like that, and obviously this doesn't apply to WWE because they do not drop the F-bomb in WWE, which is a good thing because when they do, it feels special, right?
It does. But, if we were told, for record's sake, just to say anyone goes, you pair of hypocrites, right? I do kids comedy shows where I don't swear. There's no adult content. If we were told in ICW, used to don't swear, we would both honour that, and that would be absolutely fine, and it would be the same excitement, the same storytelling. I'm pretty confident we could do that. Genuinely. And I know I crack jokes and all that type of thing. Yeah, I'm confident we could do that. So we are hypocrites. We could turn around right now and say we're going to stop, right? But that's not what we're talking about. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the wrestling and the real stars who are the wrestlers. Back to you, sir. Sorry.
Yeah, just what you said. I know a lot of the flipping the birds and a lot of I notice it in promos and independent matches all the time, or independent promotions when I see clips on Twitter or whatnot, and it's just like fuck you and fuck this and fuck that guy, and I'm like, right, okay, right, we get the point. You're a bad man who knows naughty words. Like, tell a story. The whole point of a promo and the whole point of having the microphone in your hands is to help develop a story. And let's be real, life is full of dicks who swear. So be something different. Be something a little bit different and tell a story in a different way.
Now, I know someone could turn around and say with the flipping off things, well, Stone Cold did it, and I'm sure The Rock's done and all that, but it would have been in seldom use. I was checking out a show the other day, every entrance. I used to get in trouble because whenever a wrestler would come out and do this, I used to go, oh, he's putting his fingers up. He must be a bad guy. And I got told to stop it, which is fair, right? Which is fair. But it was also my way of going like, this is lazy.
Yeah, I get that. I agree with you.
I even watched a sequence in a match the other night where a guy very quickly went to his opponent and then he ran off the ropes. And it was done so quick that it was done so quick in a way that I went, who even saw that? Yeah. I got no reaction. Who even saw that? It doesn't mean anything. So if it doesn't mean anything, why are you doing it?
Sorry to cut you off. I always feel like when I'm watching WWE especially, right, if a wrestler taunts and it gets no reaction, I find it awkward. A taunt should be a prompt to get something from the crowd. You should be getting cheered or you should be getting booed. If you're not getting that prompt working right, there's a problem. So I look at, if you go like this to somebody and the crowd don't even realise you're fucking doing it, don't keep doing it because it's not working the crowd. The whole part is what they are doing, and I don't have a right to say this because I'm not a fucking professional wrestler, right?
Yes.
But at the end of the day, their job is to go out there and work the crowd, tell a story to the crowd and get them invested. So if you're doing things that are going to respond with silence, what's the point?
And that's in a nutshell. And again, I'm saying you look like a dumbass. I mean that with tongue in cheek. I'm sure anyone would say that. What I am saying is this, that if you sit at the monitor, watch the rest of the show, if everyone is doing this, it means nothing. It means nothing. You're flipping off fans, they're flipping you off back. It's like, okay, that just looks really, fuck you. No, fuck you. Fuck you. There's something about it that just, the phrase that a girl from like the Valley might use in California is ick. And it gives me the ick.
Is that your wrestling ick?
That might be. Maybe it's a new segment on the show. What's your wrestling
ick?
That might be. These other ways you can do it. Sometimes it's about building aura and stuff like that. I don't know these. It's also like if someone's trying to get to you, right? If you show a sign that someone got to you, then you're kind of taking away all the power of yourself and what it means when they finally do get at you. And if you're literally, I remember once seeing a wrestler literally come out the curtain already doing this, and I thought it was funny. Like, I thought, that's funny. That's what an asshole. He had to start that before he came through the curtain. And then he never did it again. Like he never did it again during the match. He never did it again any other point walking round ringside. He'd done it. It established who he was. Didn't need to do it again. You already thought he was an asshole. And he had people go, "Oh, fuck you," from the fans and what have you. But yeah, it's a definite ick. And I saw a show the other day when pretty much every match and every entrance at some point had somebody doing that, and it's like, if I'm noticing it, imagine who else is noticing it.
Yeah,
like that's.
Yeah, no, I get you.
We can forgive a lot as wrestling fans. We really, really can. But oh fuck, man, if you're just doing this, if everyone's doing the same shit, it's a problem. It becomes a problem.
It becomes like that personality trait where, like, you're just, I don't know, you're just like a sheep, aren't you? You're just copying the guy that went out before you and doing the same thing.
That's what you look like. It doesn't mean anything.
It's the thing I was going to say was, right, and this is, take wrestling aside for a minute, right? I've always found the Bird like a weird one, because I don't know about you, Billy, right? The only time I ever do this or this to anybody is as a laugh. I have never once seriously in my life went like that, "Oh, fuck you," to somebody. Like, even at the football, I don't feel like I've ever done like that to somebody, because I don't know. It's just something I rarely do. I feel like it's not representative of like what a real bad person would be like.
I always remember seeing a guy doing that to a bouncer, and the bouncer pretty much breaking his finger off as well. It just seems such an odd thing. That wanker almost makes more sense. Do you know what I mean?
I was about to say, see if you catch me at the football, giving some referee snash. Most of the time, it's me going like that. You know, that's most of the time.
And even that's kind of like tongue in cheek. You know, I just think the wrestlers are better than that, and they need to find other ways of doing it. It's a cliche. It's a trope. I've clocked it. If that's what everyone's doing on the independent scene, then there's going to be trouble. When was the last time you saw John Moxley flip someone off? When was the last? So, and somebody like MGF, who's immature and is ridiculous, he probably has done it, but I bet he hasn't done it often.
When he does do it, it gets a reaction, though. Have you noticed that? It gets a reaction, which is what you need to get.
Here's an example at the end of an ICW show when Red Lightning had turned on Jack Jester, and him and Kenny are on the stage celebrating, and Red Lightning went like that. Even the fact he did that, I felt like that's a big pop for me.
That's a moment where it makes sense to do it.
And it's
also,
there's what moments. A bell end.
Exactly.
It's
100%.
Funny.
I agree.
Funny, but
I like that you've brought that up as your no this week. That's a good one. That's a different one. It's out the box.
Yeah, man. And I just like, I hate saying it's giving me the ick. I feel terrible. Fuck, man. You just need to get some other shit. Right, couple of bits that we wanted to talk about. I'm just double checking your list. Just bear with me 1 second.
Oh, take your time, sir.
What do you think of Corey Graves? What's your thought of Corey Graves?
Oh, well, let's skip to my clown.
Is that an ending point? Because I get a feeling I know what it might be.
I was going to say it's time to get the clown of the week out the way, because
clown of the week.
Because my clown of the week is Corey Graves. That's my clown of the week. So it's a lovely transition. Look, usually I would, for this segment, my whole idea was to scour the internet for tweets and find some post that really wound me up the wrong way. And Corey Graves, ding, 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 ding. You're the guy this week. So, are you on the same side as me here, Billy? Do you think that he's been an absolute tosspot with all this?
Right, let's break this down. Right? Is it a work or a shoot? Right, if you're unfamiliar with that terms, is he trying to get into an angle? Is it something that's going to lead to something? Or is it a shoot? Is this him saying what he actually feels? Right, now we know a couple of things. First of all, today he has deleted the tweet in question. Right. It's gone, right? Which is interesting. But it's been out there long enough for lots of eyes to get on it. So I don't know. I'm going to come out and say it. I kind of hope it's a work. Like I really hope
for his sake it is. I hope for his sake that it is.
I genuinely do. Right. So I'm going to look at that. If it's a work, fantastic. Look forward to where this is going. Genuinely do. If it's a shoot, you fucking baby.
Thank you.
Absolute fucking baby. Now, I understand. I want to make this clear. Corey Graves is not my favourite commentator, but I have a real respect for him, and I have liked a lot of work that he's done. I want to make that really clear.
I think that we are very kindred spirits in this. I agree with a lot of what you're saying.
I like him, but I don't love him. right? You know what I mean? I like him, I don't love him. Pat McAfee, I can take or leave, but I think in general he does a good job. Him and Cole have great chemistry. Great chemistry, and you can't just bottle that. But Corey Graves has been great. He's been on some huge shows, and he'll be back. Like it's actually almost a testament to his talent that they will have him in different roles. He'll be able to come from NXT straight onto Monday Night Raw, straight onto SmackDown. Of course, he wants to be there every week. I can understand that, and that must be frustrating to a degree.
Yes,
and reading the tweet in question where he says like, "Oh, I'm not a big enough star. I'm not this. I'm not that." Blah blah blah. If that's all him genuinely talking, like what did you think that was going to achieve? Why are you putting that on your social media? Is that you trying to get an angle going?
I'm pretty sure that this is all real, and I'm pretty certain that all of it is him being an absolute bitch. I hope, as I said, if it's a work, fantastic. I can't wait to see what it might eventually lead to. I just have serious doubts that it's going to happen, Billy. Unless
even his brother's saying it's not a work.
Yeah, and like the thing is, Billy, unless this has financial implications on him, which it won't, there's no way that WWE would turn around to him and go, "Oh, by the way, we're actually taking money off you here," because that would be unfair of them, and I don't think they would treat him like that. I genuinely think he's still going to be earning the same money that he does on a regular basis, right?
Yeah.
I don't get it, man. This is a guy that was given such an opportunity that some wrestlers could only dream of. This guy had his career ended, and I wouldn't wish that upon anybody, right? Yeah. It's tragic. You're chasing your dream to suddenly have it taken away from you. But that's happened to so many guys, especially within the boundaries of the WWE locker room. That's happened to so many guys, and they haven't been given the opportunity he was. He was given a huge show of faith.
And ran with it.
Yeah, from NXT back in 2014, 15, they said, "We'll put you on commentary and see how you do." How many guys in NXT have gone nowhere after an injury? How many guys in the main roster have gone nowhere after an injury? Haven't been given that opportunity. Listen, I can't tell him what he should and shouldn't be grateful for, but I know that I would be so fucking grateful that I was given that chance to make a living off of something that is still so exciting to be a part of. He got a chance to live the dream in some sort of way, to travel with WWE, to be part of these shows. He's commentated at WrestleMania.
And will continue.
Yeah, and he's acting like a baby. Billy, have you seen Jonathan Coachman's tweet?
I did. I heard a little bit about it. The coach is someone that got really fucked over on his way out of WWE, actually.
So Jonathan Coachman put something, there was a line in that tweet, and I think for us, look, listen, we can't exactly call ourselves big time. We commentate for an independent promotion, which is a great honour, and we both love it, right?
Yes.
But he put a fantastic line in that, which really resonated with me, that there is only 3 to 5 of these jobs in the world at that level. You don't get it anywhere else. And guys like us, Billy, we would fucking kill to be on NXT commentary. But we'll never get that opportunity because we have Scottish accents and because we're not fucking Michael Cole, right? But he has been given this opportunity.
Michael Cole? Oh, you mean not fucking Michael Cole? I see what you mean.
He's been given this opportunity to commentate in NXT, which so many people would kill for, and he's acting so ungrateful, and it rubbed me the wrong way as somebody who dreams of one day being able to sit at a WWE commentary desk, probably never get the chance to, and he's acting like this. Billy, he's a fucking clown in my eyes if this is real.
If this is real, he's a clown. He's a clown. He's made a cunt of himself. I assume this might be a little bit of wrestling carne, or well, maybe like that I can assume is what's gone through his head. I wonder if someone's turned around and went, if you want to save your job, delete the tweet. Mm-hmm. If you want to leave, keep it up.
Well, I seen that Dave Meltzer reported, and it's Meltzer once again. I hate using Meltzer as a source nowadays, right? But Dave Meltzer said that there was a feeling amongst WWE that he was actually actively trying to get himself fired. Now, if there's any truth in that, then he's not done a bad job about it, because that I could see why that would get him sacked.
So he did put a subsequent tweet saying like, "Oh, tune into NXT tonight, I'm gonna, and fire emoji and then the mic." What did you think they were going to let you say in their TV show if this was real? If this was real, what the fuck that's it got the wrestling world talking. So I guess that's good for Corey Graves. And maybe that's been it. Maybe that is where they went, "You want to put this out? I'm going to do a little work for myself. So when I eventually do come back, people are going to go, 'Holy fuck, Corey Graves is back.'" That is what I can only hope for. Maybe he's been inspired by Jesse Ventura or something. I don't know. Maybe they want a more outright heel commentator and somebody that is pissed off at the company, can be nasty about Pat McAfee, can be nasty about Michael Cole, can be nasty about Triple H, can be nasty about all these people, is worth something. So in that respect, I come back to, fuck, man, I hope this is a work, Corey. I really genuinely do. If it is, our hats off to you here at the Wrestling Forever podcast. But if it's you being a whiny bitch and literally getting yourself sacked, then you're a fucking clown. And I agree with my broadcast colleagues, clown of the week.
Just to finish off, I think a huge part of this comes, and I don't like speculating and things like this. I don't know the guy, right? So I'm not going to sit here and say this is what the reasons, this is why it's happened and whatnot, right? But I do genuinely believe there's a part of him that sees this online love. Everybody's going on about Joe Tessitore and how good he's been since he's came in. People love
Wade, which I feel bad about.
People love Wade Barrett. They adore Wade Barrett. He's a great commentator. He gets constantly praised online. Michael Cole is Michael Cole. People have really turned their thoughts around on Cole these last few years since Vince has been gone. And Pat McAfee's obviously a megastar in America. So out of the 5 main roster commentators, who's the one that's not getting all that love online? It's Corey Graves. And I don't know if there's a wee smidgen of jealousy that's maybe took over here and maybe just subconsciously played into this kind of outburst, you can call it.
Yeah, it's old boggle eyes, Corey Graves. I'm pretty sure one of his eyes is dodgy. I've said that a couple of times. People think I'm mental about it. Right, I loved your clown of the week. Shall we get to some questions?
Yes. What happened there? What happened there? Do you know what? I feel bad now because I didn't put up a post asking for questions. So I hope that you've got plenty for us.
I've got a couple here for us. We're like Monday Night Raw now. The length of the episode can go whatever length it's going to be.
Yes.
Which I don't like.
Here.
I don't like it's like, 1 week it could be 3, 1 week it could be 40 minutes. It went, so fucking not be 40 minutes. I'll tell you that right now.
Before we do go into the questions very quickly, I meant to bring this up when you were talking about Penta. Did you hear about all this stuff that people backstage were pissed at him for going over his time apparently? I'm like, get a grip. Come on.
I've read a couple of other places that have just went, utter pish.
Utter pish. It probably is utter pish, you know.
Pish.
I read on the back of that WWE are still working to their own internal clock, which is they want to keep the shows the same length and they want to try and keep wrestlers in the routine. I mean, one day, you know, it's all very well and good saying like, they should be able to take the chains off and go and do whatever they want on Netflix, but at the end of the day, you know, if this Netflix deal was to say Netflix went bust and WWE ended back on TV in a couple of years' time. Yeah. You know, they need to be in the rhythm of things, and it's good to keep up good habits.
No, they have to do that. That's like training, or like a new manager comes in or something like that, or even like, here we go. So here's this can of Iron Brew, which is 500 milliliters. I'd be pretty annoyed if this was 40 milliliters one time I went and bought a can, and the next time I went it was like 330.
Yeah.
No, we'll keep it at the consistent 500 milliliters, which is how I think it needs to be. Remember, there's no adverts, guys. So 2.5 hours of pure wrestling is pretty good. That was a pay-per-view when I was a boy. When I was a boy, that was an
We're spoiled. Think of how much wrestling you get in a week. It's not just WWE, it exists. You've got everything else. But we're lucky. We're lucky. Anyway, should we get on to it?
Yeah, I'm £11 a month better off as well.
Exactly.
Right, a couple of questions coming in. This is from Louisa, who said, we see lots of legends being used on WWE and AEW TV. However, I did notice that we very rarely see legends. Female legends used quite the same way. Do you think we should see more legends used in prominent roles who have been previous females with the company? And who would you use? Great question. Yes. I slightly disagree a little bit. I mean, obviously we've seen Lita and Trish used in the past, but there is names. She's right. There is names that we don't see. I do remember when Summer Rae turned up and was described as a WWE legend, and everyone went, "What?"
That was so funny. I think the thing is with WWE and their women legends is, let's be real about we're in that period of time now where the ones who were greats like Mae Young, Fabulous Moolah, sadly no longer with us. And remember, Mae Young was used for a long time on television, like well beyond her sell-by date. You know, she was on telly for a long time. But that
also,
era,
just very quickly, Fabulous Moolah also turned out to be
Yes, of course. Yes, exactly. Yes, yes. Thank you for adding that in. Thank you for adding that in, Billy. And we're in that era now where we had an era of women's wrestlers who let's just call it how it is. Vince wasn't hiring the best of talents. Vince was hiring the women who had the best sex appeal, and some of them, quite simply, didn't have that much of a love for the business, which is why I don't think we see a lot of them now. We're living in the era where the legends are wrestling. We've got Becky Lynch, we've got Charlotte, we've got Mercedes, we've got Bayley, we've got all these new ones coming through in NXT. We are very blessed with a generation of female talent who are better than the female talent has ever been in the sport. Yeah. And there is plenty who paved the way to be here, but I think we see them.
Over the last 20, 25 years, we've seen an evolution in women's wrestling. And I can understand exactly what you mean. I mean, obviously, Molly Holly, and I think
of course.
Who were beacons during the Diva era.
Yes.
Jacqueline
and
exactly. So we are seeing them. I guess it comes down to like who was considered to be bona fide stars. You're saying legends. I'm sure these names we've forgotten about, but in the last 10 years, we've seen a huge leap forward in evolution in women's wrestling. So I think, Ryan, you're right. It's we're seeing legends. The next stage of legends we're seeing them right now. We are seeing them right now. I mean, I can think about names like Trish, Molly, Lita, all that type of thing.
And do you remember like the first couple of women's Royal Rumbles when they started? They were full of former talent, of women
exactly.
who were in the 2000s. They were full of them. And I think at the end of the day, some of them might just not be interested in coming back. So
yeah, there's also these people like Medusa or Lundra Blaze and what have you.
Yep.
I mean, we've seen little snippets of her, and it would be nice to have more. I take Louisa's point. It would be nice to have more, but I guess we're not there yet. I mean, you got to bear this in mind, man. Like, Charlotte Flair has been on the main roster nearly a decade now.
Yep, it's crazy.
You know, what do you want me to say? I mean,
genuinely, that'll be 10 years in like July, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, there's Natalia, who has been with the company. Is it 15 years or something like that?
I think it's nearly 20 now.
It could be, and it's like, so, you know, we're seeing them. Appreciate them right now, man. Appreciate them right now. I could appreciate maybe names like Wendy Richter and names like way from the past, and maybe they haven't really got to have their flowers in the way they should. So that could be something WWE could address. These maybe names we've forgotten in there. I don't necessarily know about Eve or... You know, Dawn Marie. I mean, even Dawn Marie got
she was at ECW,
the ECW show, and Francine and what have you. So I don't think we necessarily need to keep looking in WWE. I mean, fucking Lita's been going 30 years, for crying out loud. You know, it's like she was Miss Congeniality. She's the pump punk. That wasn't an easy sentence to say. I don't mind telling you. Pump punk. Favorite bit of, so this one was sent in. I want to make sure I've got the right name for this, because sorry, I've went and written the question down, but I have not written down.
You've got to give them the flowers.
Bugger, I have not written down your name, but it's a great question. What's your favorite bit of memorabilia? We've talked about this before, and I couldn't think of one. I've got one. I've got one that I had.
Memorabilia.
I had a Taker shirt from '93.
So is this just like one specific bit that you've owned, that you've had to have owned?
I guess so, but it's one that's always meant something to me. I've got a Taker shirt from '93. I've got a Taker shirt.
I love that.
I very rarely take it. I mean, I think the ink is starting to go on it, if that makes sense. It feels like it's like, oh, I don't want to put it on.
I'd be stuck between two. I would be stuck between one of my many CM Punk figures, which lie behind me.
Are they all CM Punks?
They are all CM Punks, and there's like a Paul Heyman in there, and an AJ Lee, and I've got every single Elite CM Punk they've ever made.
Ryan, I didn't think it was as bad as that.
I've got Shawn Michaels down there. It's not just Punk. I've got Shawn down there. I've got Gunther up there. You just can't see them on camera. They're just my favourites, you know. It's it's bad. It's terrible.
Don't you be embarrassed about this.
No,
be embarrassed.
I am well beyond the point of embarrassment, Billy. I would be stuck between one of my many Punks, or my first ever wrestling shirt was the orange John Cena shirt from 2010. He wore it at WrestleMania 26, and there's a story behind it because there's a wee tiny hole in the back, and I was so upset about it because I wore it the week after I got it. We went out to as you would as your 10-year-old, you go out to play, you know, you go out to play. And we were down the back fields, and we climbed through a barbed wire fence to get into a certain part of the fields, and the barbed wire caught the shirt and ripped a hole in the back of it just as I got it. And I was so upset. I was so devastated because this was when you're 10 years old, and like at this point I don't know if Euroshop was a thing. You had to get the shirts from America if you didn't get them at the event. So I was so upset. I was like, I've ruined my good shirt. But it's fine. It's a tiny hole. I can never wear it again anyway. It was fucking 10. I was tiny, but yeah, I love it.
Raging on your behalf. So if you're saying favourite memorabilia I've ever had, I'm not a big memorabilia guy. I'm probably more into it now than I am. I love my Eagle Wing. I love my Eagle Wing. And I know it's £100 and I know it's not the best of quality, but I fucking love it. I love that for you. I just love it. I like looking at it. I like not touching it. I like every now and then sitting on the couch and just holding it and going, I'm the fucking world champ. I'm the real world champ. That's all that matters. So, and I would never have a spinner belt though. Don't see if I flip it. I'm afraid I'm one of those guys that's never been into the spinner belt.
I've got 2 spinners.
And one's a CM Punk one. I know that for a fact.
Yes.
Although it does look pretty. It does look very pretty.
It is pretty. I've just got such a special place in my heart for the spinner belt, but the original spinner belt, man, I just love it, man. There's something about it.
You think it's because it made people so angry?
Probably.
It never made me angry. I just was like, I just don't think it looks nice in the eye. I don't think the WWE Championship looks that nice.
Yeah.
It looks so plain. Like I know it's got jewels on it. I know it's gold. It just looks so plain.
The current one, I agree.
Yeah, it's just like, I mean, it makes Gunther's belt looks fucking miles better.
Gunther's belt is gorgeous. Gorgeous.
And one more question. We've kind of hinted on it a wee bit. Who do you think is the creative person that should be brought in to turn around AEW? If Tony Khan has the blank checkbook, they need to bring someone in to bring the company into line. Who is the person you think it is? And that is from Declan Comsley.
Vince Russo. I'm joking. I'm absolutely joking. Just
at this point, why the fuck not? Why the fuck?
It's a really good question because it's like at the end of the day, there are so many creative people in the world of wrestling that we're probably not aware about, that we don't know their creative capabilities. There's probably guys that have wrote some fantastic stories or some fantastic things, and we just don't know it was them because it's not. Unless you're a former talent or you're really high up, it's not as if it's one of those jobs that gets constantly credited or praised. I think one of the ones that you constantly see thrown out there to go in and help the company is Scott D'Amore from TNA.
Whose rumor had meetings with both WWE and AEW.
Yes, I think he would be a good shout.
Yep. If Tony is going to give him a proper executive position and proper run of the company, that would probably be the best name, I think. I mean, outside of that, you're looking at people with lineage like, I don't know. You're looking at guys like Bruce Pritchard, maybe, or something like that. If that was a role, he would. Eric Bischoff, who I don't think would touch it with a 10-foot barge pole. Or you're looking.
But forgetting, there's one man. There's a guy out there who's doing nothing.
Vincent Kennedy McMahon, is that who you're thinking
Kennedy McMahon.
It makes you wonder what Vince would do if he was taking away all the horrible allegations and what have you against him. But
of course.
It makes you wonder what he would do if he was given the chance to effectively start again.
Yeah, I know.
What would be the first thing Vince McMahon would do?
Yeah, to clarify, number one, I hope he dies. Go fuck yourself, Vince, right? Yes. But it is a hypothetical, which is really interesting. Yeah. Like, to take away all the controversy for a moment, if Tony Khan was to go, I can't be bothered with this anymore. Yeah. Vince, here you go, and gave him free reign to AEW, what would he do? Yeah. I'm very intrigued because I have my doubts that he could do it without modern voices in his ear. And that was obviously proven towards the end of his spell with WWE. 100%. But I just feel like he would just need those people around him to point him in the right direction. But I mean, listen, people said in the 80s that he couldn't do what he done, and he went and built an absolute machine.
No,
So you never know.
completely. Other names that have come in have been like Shane.
Yeah,
I,
Shane.
I,
I don't think Shane seems like the creative guy
no,
though
I,
that
I
would come
think
in and fix things.
I think he's a creative businessman.
Yeah,
He's a
yeah, yeah.
director of football, if you know what I
Yes,
mean.
yes,
He's not a first
yes.
team coach.
Mm-hmm.
If
I
that
agree.
puts
That's
that
it.
into clarity for anyone, I think he would be a great addition to
Yeah.
AEW. But again, I just don't think it's going to happen.
Like, obviously, there's that famous story of Shane identifying UFC's value before it skyrocketed. He wanted to invest heavily into UFC.
Yeah.
He wanted to get involved before it boomed. And that was obviously great business foresight, but that doesn't equal creative success.
No.
I think that you're looking at somebody who, in the business side of things, could be a great addition, but if you're talking strictly creative, Shane McMahon, the guy that put himself in to win the World Cup or whatever it was called, is not the creative genius I think you'd be looking for.
Like once upon a time, you would have said a name like Jim Cornette, who did great things in ROH. Maybe there's Delirious, who was in charge of the creative at ROH at one point, but has never made the jump over. It's not a name you hear a lot these days, but there it is. I think probably Scott D'Amore is the guy. If they can get him to sign or come to some type of agreement. But there was a rumor not that long ago that Scott D'Amore's name had been mentioned for NXT, with the idea of Sean jumping between NXT and SmackDown. Yes. That could be rumor, that could be bullshit. Scott D'Amore is probably a hot ticket right now because creatively, I loved what he was doing with AEW. Beg your pardon, TNA. And
TNA was really flourishing before he went.
Really
remember the shock that morning everybody woke up and seen that TNA had cut ties with him. I was baffled. I couldn't believe that he was going after.
Baffled.
They just started cooking with gas and things felt positive and then flatline.
TNA is fucking back and they've done okay since. A lot of names leaving. Which is not a good sign. Although there's clearly still a relationship between, because we saw Masha Slamovich on I do enjoy saying her name, on NXT. Right. So that's good to see that relationship is still there. But how weird is it going to be when Jordan Grace and Joe Hendry and Josh Alexander and all these guys start coming up to be full-time with the company? These are all guys that flourished under Scott D'Amore, by the way.
Yep.
I want to make that clear. So
and made it very clear themselves that they were very loyal to Scott D'Amore as well.
Yeah, and I don't think Scott would be out of place to go, you got to go up there.
Yeah,
you got to go up there when you
got to look after their pockets at the end of the day. They've got families, they've got lives, and there's not a guarantee that Impact's going to be paying the bills much longer.
Hey man, listen, pro wrestling is hard at the best of time. Like a finite amount of time. You get a couple of years, you're lucky. If you get a few years, like Baron Corbin got like 11 years with the company and has said nothing bad about the company as a result. That man's a millionaire now and has a really nice house, has a couple of businesses, and is going to do just fine. He's a former football player. He's going to be just fine. I reckon. So yeah, chase that money, man. So to answer your question, which is a great question, if we were in charge of who was in charge of the booking, probably Scott D'Amore, but I just wonder if they can turn the boat around in Tony Khan's leadership. That's what I wonder. They can turn that around. I think that's probably what needs to address. The ship needs to get steadied, and they're making some decisions that are looking that way, going into the smaller arenas, bringing back Kenny Omega, putting him at the top of the card. We're seeing little buds.
Baby steps.
Little baby steps to turn it around. And I just want AEW to do it, man. I want to be back at the All-Ins and the place be flourishing. You never know who's going to turn up. Independent names, fantastic names, but also let your guys sell and have a good time. See Penta. Because Penta flourishing on Monday Night Raw is going to have turned a lot of heads, Ryan. It's going to turn a lot of heads.
There's no doubt in my mind that everybody would have been watching and going, oh, okay, interesting. Right, that's all we got time for on this episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends. We'd love to have any of your questions or any of your topics. You can either put them whenever you're watching this, if you're watching this on YouTube or listening to it on Spotify. And of course, don't forget to check out the #1 Celtic podcast on YouTube. Thank you, Billy.
Throwing it up.
Thank you. Throwing it up.
It's the one. #1.
And check out Billy's shows. Get to his shows. There you go.
I
Get
am
tickets.
fucking phenomenal. Tickets are not selling for my show at the Glasgow Comedy Festival, and I'd like them to. So get tickets bought for that just now, and loads of other brilliant things. You can check me out on social media. I am Billy Kirkwood, comedian. He is Ryan Fitzsimons. Or are we still going for Ryan 118? Ryan 118?
Just any'll do. Fitzsimons is fine.
If there's another
fine.
Ryan out there, fuck him. Fuck him.
Fuck you. Right. There we go, middle fingers.
Oh, we must be bad guys now.